Good morning, folks. It's time for Monday Morning from the Milkhouse. This is Kate Johnson from Briargate Farm, here with Salsa, my super mama. So what I wanted to talk about today, I'm calling it monitoring udders, but basically I want to talk about sort of what you have to do once you have babies, whether you are dam raising them or bottle feeding them. You cannot ignore the udder. You have to pay attention to what's going on. So this is Salsa, and she kidded for the second time this year. She's a 3-year-old second freshener, we call that. And she had triplets. She is feeding all of the triplets herself, and I am still milking her twice a day. I'm going to bring this around and just show you. She is just a huge producer. So you can see here, this is her udder, quite full this morning with triplets on her. And so right now it's actually pretty even, and that's really a good sign. So what I mean by that is baby goats tend to have a favorite side. And so whether you have a single, you have twins, you have triplets, generally they're going to nurse on one side more than the other. This is one of the reasons a lot of people do choose to bottle raise their babies, because they can keep this udder nice and even. Because remember, milk works on a supply and demand basis. And that means that if one side is getting more demand, that side's going to have more supply. The other side's eventually going to stop producing as much. The other problem is that before it stops producing too much, it's going to become engorged, and you have a higher risk of mastitis, certainly discomfort for the dough. So until today, I would say one side was definitely the chosen side. Now the babies are about 2.5 weeks old now, and their appetites are picking up. And that's a good thing, because that means they're going to start nursing more. But she is just producing more than they need. And if I let just the babies work it out with her, first of all, she's going to get really lopsided. And secondly, she's going to drop in production. And right now, if you've been following me, you know that she's not only feeding her triplets, she's helping feed the triplets from the doe that we lost. So she is doing double and triple duty. So that means that if I milk her, in addition to letting those babies nurse, I let them nurse all morning long, and then I come out and kind of take about half of what's left. That's going to keep her milk production up, even though her babies maybe aren't eating everything she's got right now. Eventually, they're going to probably start draining her, and I'm going to have to supplement these other babies on my own. But right now, she's providing enough for them and a few extras, along with her mother, who is the other one that's in milk. But this is just all to say that even though I'm choosing to let the babies nurse, I can't ignore this udder. I have seen almost every single time that I have babies on the mom, I will get uneven udders, or they're not keeping up with her demand, or sometimes they're eating more than she's producing and I need to supplement the babies. So I think a lot of people choose to dam raise their kids because it's easier and they take care of it. But you really can't ignore what's going on. Now, like I said, she's evened out pretty good today. I'm going to bring in the other doe here in a minute, and we'll see how she's looking. She's also one where she has triplets. They like one side better than the other. The other side gets kind of engorged, and then it's a little bit uncomfortable, and so even more so, she doesn't like them to nurse on that side. Although I think she's only nursing 2 of her 3 babies. I am supplementing the other one. He's always hungry. I think she kind of kicked him off because she doesn't like him very much, which I know sounds sad, but it happens. In the goat world, you know, you have good moms and you have not as good of moms. And the other mom, which is her mother, every year she tends to do this. She picks a favorite, and then the other one she's always not quite as nice to. So that's another thing you have to watch out for. You have some dams that just don't really want to nurse all their kids. Salsa is like the super mega mom. She had a great delivery. She's very attentive to her babies. She'll let me feed them if I want to. She'll feed them. She lets all 3 of them get under here and, you know, fight for the 2 teats. So she's just a really patient mother, and they aren't all that way. Her own mother, not so much. All right, so the other thing I just want to talk about in terms of milk production. It takes a lot of groceries to keep a doe in this much milk. She's already a little bit thinner than I would like. I'm feeding her absolutely constantly throughout the day. She's eating high quality alfalfa. She's getting grain several times a day. I'm putting sunflower seeds in there. And part of that is because I'm asking her to do double duty this year. If I wasn't trying to feed the orphaned triplets, I may let her milk production just drop down a little bit to meet the demand that she has with her current kids. But I sort of need her to help me out with those other kids. So I'm just feeding her all the time. Pretty much if she acts hungry, she gets fed. Because her body is really working hard right now to produce this much milk. And so that takes a lot of groceries and a lot of good fresh water. She goes through water like crazy too, so you have to keep an eye on that. So these are the little things. I guess, I think people see the kiddings and how cute the babies are, and they think, okay, that's it. But I'll tell you, the weeks just after kidding are the busiest weeks, because that's when I'm really monitoring those moms' udders. I'm monitoring, making sure all the kids are eating, making sure that everybody's getting enough to eat, mothers and babies included. And so, I'm out here a lot with them. All right, so I'm gonna go try to switch goats here, and rather than take the camera with me, just hold on 1 second, and I'll be back with that second doe, and then we'll check and see what her udder is looking like. I'll be right back. All right, so this is Calypso, and like I said, this is Salsa's mother. Well, it's very windy here, so my apologies if there's noise. Let me shut this door. The one thing in Colorado is the wind. All right, so it's going to be a little darker in here now, but I'm going to turn this around. We'll take a look at her udder. So here you can really see the unevenness I'm talking about. This is the side, and you can see, look how full this is. She is nursing triplets, although, like I said, I'm not sure she's nursing all 3 of them, but they definitely prefer this side, and so this side gets quite tight and quite engorged. And if I wasn't paying attention, it would be really easy for her to get pretty uncomfortable and perhaps even develop some mastitis because of it. Okay, let's make sure you have enough to eat. Now this doe, she is producing quite a bit right now. She's holding her weight pretty well. This doe, I would say, is in the long run not as powerful of a milker as her daughter. What tends to happen with her is she goes gangbusters for the first month or 2, and then she really drops off a lot. And she puts a lot more of her groceries into her own body. So she tends to be pretty fat and hold her weight, but she doesn't seem to provide as much milk for as long. She's doing great right now, though. Like I said, I'm milking both of them twice a day, and I'm probably getting close to a half a gallon from them at each milking, and they're still feeding their own triplets. That will change in the next couple of weeks. Their milk production will drop down a little bit, and the babies' appetites will pick up. And so I probably won't have to keep milking them throughout the entire time their babies are on them. But for right now, they really need it, and I need the milk because I've got those orphans to feed. So, I just feed them a lot and check these udders regularly, and then milk out. I'll milk both sides until she's comfortable. Like I said, the babies have been on her all night and all morning. So whatever's in here now, they're full. And she's going to keep producing throughout the day. So I'll take about half of what's in here now and know that those babies will keep nursing and they'll keep stimulating her production. But if I didn't do this, eventually she would adjust her quantity to meet the quantity needs of the babies. But I have 3 more mouths to feed, so I'm going to just keep milking them as long as they have extra milk and keep feeding them to keep them in milk. So hopefully that all makes sense to you. When I'm finished with her here, we'll go out and take a quick look at those babies. It's really windy out there today, so my sound is probably going to be pretty terrible once we get out there. All right, so what I'll do is just milk her until I can feel there's still quite a bit of milk in here. But as you can see, I've gotten at least a half a gallon out of her. She's still got ample milk to feed these babies of hers all morning long, all day long. So right now I do have the babies with their moms full time. I will start to separate them a little bit in the next few weeks for at least a few hours in the afternoon so that I can get those babies on a bottle. And the reason I do that is to keep those babies calm and friendly because the first few weeks they're cuddly and they get a lot of attention, and then you stop paying quite as much attention, and pretty soon you have these little wild babies that you can't catch and they're hard to handle. So I do like the mothers that want to be with their kids to be with them, but at some point I need to be partially involved in the mothering, or else I'll have these little wild childs, and they're a little harder to work with, they're harder to sell. I find that especially Nubians are just not as enjoyable if they don't spend some time. Are you having trouble deciding which way to turn around? She's like, I still got all this udder here. All right, so we're going to go out here, put her away, and take a quick look at the babies. Oh, my goodness, so nice to have all this wind today. All right, so here we are in the baby pen. And so you can see here the 6 babies to these 2 mamas. This is the little one I was telling you about. This is Calypso's baby, and he always seems hungry. She knows he's her baby. If I try to take him away and put him with the other babies, she has a fit. So she obviously likes him enough, but I'm not sure if he's nursing or not. So here's the rest of this crew, and then we'll go in where it's a little quieter and go see the others. Hi, babies. They are growing so fast, I can hardly stand it. I love it when they're just babies. See him? He'll nurse off my finger if I let him. All right, let's go in here. We'll get out of the wind a little bit. Oopsie, did you sneak out? Come on, little sneaker. Come on. You can come visit your cousins or nephews or nieces, whoever they are. All right, so here's the others. These are the orphans, as I call them. So sad we lost their mama. But, whoops. Sorry, I don't know what's happening there. Anyhow, very sad that we lost mama, but very relieved that babies are thriving. Hi. It's actually not feeding time, in case you wondered. You ate like 2 hours ago. So right now, the 3 orphans are on a 4 times a day feeding schedule. I feed them at about 7 a.m., noon, 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. They're getting between 12 and 16 ounces at each feeding, so that's a lot of milk. And eventually, as the other 2 does stop producing quite as much milk, I'll be supplementing them. And I just supplement with store-bought cow's milk. I prefer that over milk replacer. I think it's more like real milk. It's also less expensive. I have never had them have any kind of constipation or diarrhea issues with it, but I do try to blend it with actual goat milk. Hi, baby, I know. So, and I also want to just tell you another cute, sweet thing. If you've seen my Facebook, the 3 orphans went down to Boulder yesterday to be basically therapy goats. They did a lot of lap loving with a whole lot of people that needed some comfort yesterday. So that's why they all now want to be on my lap, because they spent the whole day on people's laps yesterday and they loved it. You aren't just a little bit friendly, are you, babies? All right, well, sorry for my chaotic Monday morning from the Milkhouse with all this wind. But I wanted to just touch base with you, and I'll keep you posted on everybody's development. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.